Okay everyone, if you could all find a seat. Thank you so much for again getting here on time. I'm so glad that you decided to come back for another lecture. My name is CarolinaMaryaReads. I will be your professor this semester. And if you look down below, you can find a syllabus or the course material, which is found as a Google Doc link. It is a nice packet, and it is the material that we will be going over today in this class. I am joined today by my teaching assistant. You may have heard of him. His name is Leo Tolstoy, also known as my homeboy. Yes, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Carolyn. I'm so glad that you are here today. I am going to be doing a beginner's guide to Russian literature video as a beginner myself. I recently posted on my channel, if you haven't seen it, I did a classics guide for beginners, and I love classics. That's mainly what I talk about on this channel, but a few months ago, I think beginning of June, I decided to make my reading journey of reading Russian literature part of my channel. So I decided that because I love Tolstoy so much, as you can tell, and so many other Russian books, I really wanted to read more of them, and I decided to make it a series on my channel. So if you look back on all of my videos, they are under a playlist on my channel called CarolinaMaryaReads, which is just the Russian equivalent of my name, Carolyn Marie Reads. I mentioned in that classics video that I was thinking about doing a beginner's guide to Russian literature, and that is what this is. That is why we are here today. So the packet is back. We had a packet for the beginner's guide to classics just in general video, and now we are back with a packet for Russian literature. And we are also here with the man himself. So without further ado, I am going to start giving you my tips as a beginner myself. I am definitely not an expert on Russian literature at all. I am still at the very beginning of my journey, but I thought I would give you some tips that have helped me on my journey as a beginner, and also talking a little bit about the books that I have read since posting that announcement video. And if you want to hear me talk more about them, I have a reading vlog for almost each one, and then my Russian Lit TBR for the rest of 2021. So anyway, let us begin with tip number 1. Carolyn Marie's tips for reading and loving Russian Lit, a beginner's guide as a beginner myself. Number 1. Start small. Your first Russian classic doesn't have to be Anna Karenina, War and Peace, or Crime and Punishment. If it is, then more power to you. Just remember, there are more Russian writers than we realize, and some of the best are lesser known. I think something that I went into Russian literature with the thought of is, when I think of Russian classics, I think War and Peace, Anna Karenina, The Brothers Karamazov, Crime and Punishment, Life and Fate, The Master and Margarita. So many really, really big, kind of intimidating books. My first Russian classic was a Little Black Classics of Tolstoy's How Much Land Does a Man Need and What Men Live By. And then my second Russian classic was The Beast, Anna Karenina itself, and that is my favorite book now of all time. But I do recommend starting small, which technically I did, but technically I didn't, because I started with a Little Black Classic, then the next book was an epic, so doesn't really make sense, but it worked for me. So if it works for you, then amazing. But I just think that something to remember when going into Russian Lit is not all Russian literature is the epics. Not all of them are huge and scary and intimidating. There are so many shorter books by Russian writers that are considered Russian classics that are amazing as well, and some of the best are the lesser known ones that not as many people talk about. So my personal recommendations are the Penguin Little Black Classics series. I recommended these for my Beginner's Guide to Classics video as well, but for a reason. They're amazing. I have all of mine over here. These are my non-Russian ones. My Russian ones are in my Russian Lit section of my bookshelves. I have a video on my Russian Lit collection here in one video. I will put it on the screen. And then I have another one, which was my overall bookshelf tour. I didn't go into each book that I own, but that is slightly updated to the first one. So I will link both of those down below if you want to see all of the Russian books that I own. The Little Black Classics series, they have Russian books as well as non-Russians. I have the box set of all 80, but you can also buy them individually, and they're quite cheap and they're really great introductions to writers. So if you're a bit intimidated by a specific author and you want to just try out a small selection of their work, then I definitely recommend looking into the Little Black Classics series. But we also have a bunch of short stories and novellas, poetry, and plays that you can choose from in the Russian lit genre that are very accessible, very approachable, and I will be talking a little bit more about those as we go on. Number 2 is don't worry too much about the translation, because the differences are usually quite minimal. With that being said, if you aren't liking the writing style of a specific book, it may be due to the translation and not the story itself. If possible, go to a bookshop or library and read from different translations to figure out which ones you like best. I know that for me, a lot of people ask me about different translations when I discuss Russian literature, and I don't really have any negative things to say about any of the translations that I've read. I've really enjoyed all of them, and I haven't had a problem with any. So I feel like that's good for me. That's good. But it also isn't very helpful because if you come across a translation that you don't like, I guess the best advice I can give you is to try and find a different translation and see if it is the fault of the translation or the fault of the story. You might not like the story, or you might like the story, you just might not like the translation. So figure out kind of which is which and see which one works for you. My personal and the most popular recommendations that I can give you when it comes to English to Russian to English translations is the Maud translation. Louise and Elmer Maud was a married couple. They translated some of the first Russian literature. The first was Constance Garnett, and then right around the same time, was it before or after? See, I am not an expert. I do not know this. Constance Garnett and the Mauds. I think Constance Garnett was the first, and then it was the Mauds. I don't know. Please correct me in the comments. Should have fact-checked that, Carolyn. What a professional professor. Let me go back and re-get my degree. Okay, anyway, the Maud translation of Anna Karenina, which is this one, is the first translation that I ever read of Anna Karenina, and then I just finished my first reread of Anna Karenina. I read that in the Pavier and Volokhonsky translation, which I also really loved. So I don't think I prefer one over the other. I really liked both equally. I don't know, I would have to compare them side by side a bit more, but yes. So the Mauds, Pavier and Volokhonsky, Constance Garnett, I've heard a lot of people enjoy. The only thing I've heard about Constance Garnett is if you read from her translations, try to read one author specifically, because when you read like one Tolstoy, one Dostoevsky by Constance Garnett, they kind of sound the same, and she doesn't have the eccentricities and the nuances of each writer. It kind of just feels like you're reading Constance Garnett. That is what I have heard. That is not my own opinion. I watched an interview with Pavier and Volokhonsky, and they were talking about Constance Garnett's translations, and that's something that they said that's always stuck with me. I will be discussing that video in a little bit as well. And then another translator that has translated specifically Anna Karenina, I think she's done other Russian books as well, is Rosamund Bartlett. She did a translation pretty recently of Anna Karenina. Number 3. There are a lot of periods to read from and about, which are known as the Golden and Silver Age. Read from different times in Russian history to find out which interests you the most. My personal recommendations are still working on this myself, so I'm definitely not an expert in the different periods of Russian history and Russian literature, but I am trying to work chronologically, so starting with Pushkin and going towards more of the modern writers. Thinking about Russian history and all of the different stories that were written during the different times and periods of Russian history. So not all of it is from like the Soviets. So definitely look at chronologically when these books were written and which part of Russian history interests you the most, or even try and find different books from different time periods and figure out which one interests you the most, pretty much. Number 4 is watch adaptations before reading the books, especially the epics. It will help you put faces to the many, many names. If you want to, you can even make a character list that you can keep with you while you read. This is something that I can't recommend highly enough. I know that some people say you should always read the book before watching the movie adaptation, but I am one of the people where I agree with that, but I also don't agree with it because I think it can be really, really helpful in certain instances when you watch an adaptation before reading. My personal recommendation specifically, and I have done this myself, is the 2012 Anna Karenina and the BBC 2016 War and Peace. When I have even though I'm a huge Tolstoy fan, when I have a really big book, I get really intimidated, especially because they have so many names, so many different names. A lot of them look and sound similar. Something that really helps me is being able to put faces, actors' faces to the names, so that when I read, the images in my mind's eye are much more clear and come to me more easily. So that is something that I know helps me a lot and will most likely help you. I know a lot of people that do this, so if you are wondering whether you should watch an adaptation before or after reading a Russian epic, I would recommend watching before. But that's my personal opinion. Obviously, it's different for everyone. Number 5, do a bit of background research to better your understanding. I went into Crime and Punishment knowing next to nothing, and of course didn't enjoy or appreciate it as much as I would have if I did, especially now that I've read Notes and White Nights. This doesn't mean you have to spend hours studying the history of Russia, but look into watching some videos on YouTube. I'll link some of my favorites here. So I listed a few of my personal recommendations, like Men Are Not Piano Keys, Jordan Peterson on Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground, a wonderful video that a fellow booktuber made about Anna Akhmatova, the Queen of the Silver Age. If you're a major nerd like me, the History of Russia Part 1 through 5, Rurik to Revolution, Where Did Russia Come From Alex Glender, Erwin Weil on Dostoevsky, Maxim Gorky and Stalin, Why Should You Read Tolstoy's War and Peace from Brendan Pulsu, I think that's how you say his name. Everyone, please turn over your packets to page 2. Thank you. Then we have Pavir and Volokonsky discuss Tolstoy in translation, which is the video that I was referencing before. They talk about a lot of different translators of Russian literature, and if you're interested in translation, I would definitely recommend watching that video. Again, if you click the link to the Google Drive, you'll be able to access all of these videos, but I'll make sure to also link them in the description box so it's easier for you to access. And of course, we have Dickens versus Tolstoy featuring Tom Hiddleston and Zoe Ashton. I think that's how you say her name. I apologize if I'm totally mispronouncing that. That's, of course, Dickens versus Tolstoy, which inspired the Dickens versus Tolstoy debate that I do with Emma from her YouTube channel, Emmy, one of my dearest friends and one of the best things that I love doing. And then we have Why is Tolstoy's Anna Karenina still so popular today? That is from the translator Rosamund Bartlett. She discusses very quickly a little bit about Anna Karenina, and I love hearing other people's perspective on Russian lit. I feel like it really helps me learn, helps me grow as a reader. Something that I love is when I really am passionate about a book, I can't help but want to hear what other people have to say about it, so I am just a super nerd and I research all the time. Not only like finding different articles and lectures, but also YouTube videos just from like fellow booktubers. Now the last tip that I have for you is number 6. Just like all classics, Russian books have many subgenres. If you like a specific type of story, such as sci-fi, comedy/satire, love stories, nonfiction, history, war stories, horror/murder, faith, family drama, psychological, the list goes on and on. To make it even better, they all come in different forms, such as short stories, plays, poetry, novellas, and of course, epics. Like I said in my Beginner's Guide to Classics in General video, classics is an umbrella term, so we have a lot of subgenres under this umbrella, and I think that what we have to realize is that we might not think we are classics readers, we might not think that we are interested in Russian literature, but if you figure out what contemporary books you enjoy, like, oh, you really love contemporary sci-fi or contemporary young adult or romance or coming-of-age stories, there is most likely going to be a classic or a Russian classic with that structure. In that genre, pretty much. So I have a list of personal recommendations. Some of these I have read, some of these are highly recommended, so I am pretty sure that they are good recommendations. First we have comedy. Gogol and Bulgakov are the two that stick out to me most as comedic or deal in satire. So Gogol's The Overcoat, which I read this year after my announcement video and I loved. And then we have Bulgakov, who I definitely need to read from. I haven't read any Bulgakov yet, but that is going to change. Yes. Then we have love stories. Tolstoy's Anna Karenina and War and Peace, of course. Pushkin's Yevgeny Onegin, which is my favorite book of 2021. I will never shut up about this book. Everyone please read it if you haven't. Dostoevsky's White Nights, another amazing one, and Poor Folk, which I will be reading very soon, so excited. Turgenev's First Love, which I also read after my announcement video, really, really loved. And of course Pasternak's Dr. Zhivago, which I will also be reading very, very soon. My excitement for that book is through the roof. Then we have nonfiction. There is a wide range of choices which I haven't gotten to yet, so I can't really give you any recommendations for nonfictions, but I know that there are so many out there. History, literally any Russian book, because they are all full of cultural history. So if you want to learn about history in any capacity, or specifically Russian history and Russian culture, if you pick up any Russian book, they are very proud of their country. I feel like when I read a Russian book, it's just like saturated with all things Russian history, Russian culture, military history, history of just the peasantry, serfdom. It's just, if you want history, read a classic, obviously, because they're just old books. So old meaning historical. It's just, they go hand in hand. But yeah, basically any Russian classic. War. Everyone say it with me. You want a war story? Read War and Peace. Okay, there we go. Very good. So War and Peace, obviously, and Lermontov's A Hero of Our Time does deal with some aspects of war, and that is another book that I read after my announcement video this year that I also really, really loved. Then we have horror/murder, which is kind of a mix of two genres. I mean, horror and murder, did they go together? I don't really know. Of course, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. I also put in parentheses, I feel basic, ha ha ha. Because I kind of feel like, if you think of Russian lit and then murder, and then I feel like the first thing you think of is Crime and Punishment. So yeah, faith. Almost all of Tolstoy's works discusses faith in some way. He also does have a lot of religious writings that are him just discussing his beliefs that are nonfiction, so that could also go in the nonfiction section. Family drama. Everyone, shall we say it together? Anna Karenina, thank you very much. Okay. Because the first line of Anna Karenina is, everyone say it with me, all happy families are alike, but all unhappy families are unhappy in their own way. Do you want a family drama? Please read Anna Karenina. Okay. We also have some family drama elements in War and Peace and Childhood, Boyhood, Youth. Childhood, Boyhood, Youth could also be considered a coming-of-age story. I don't know if you would consider it YA, but I feel like it could go that way. And then psychological, of course, Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground and Crime and Punishment, and Chekhov's Word 6, and so many more. A lot of Russian writers and Russian books in general discuss themes of the mind and the psyche and the human condition and the way that life affects us psychologically, of course, because everything affects us psychologically. Those are all of the tips that I have. I will definitely do an updated list when I have a few more tips, when I've read a few more Russian books, but I will be discussing now all the Russian classics I've read since my announcement video. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them just because, like I said, there is a reading vlog for almost every single one of them. So I will leave either the playlist of my Russian lit videos or all of them down below. So the first one that I read after announcing the video was A Hero of Our Time by Lermontov. Then I read Yevgeny Onegin by Pushkin, then First Love by Turgenev, then Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky, then Word 6 by Chekhov, then The Overcoat by Gogol, then White Nights by Dostoevsky, then Anna Karenina by Tolstoy for the second time, and then Anna Akhmatova, Poetry Collection by Everyman's Library, which is what I am currently reading. Something that I want to say is I read these books with my very good friend Sam. He is a huge Russian lit fan, and when we were talking about how we wanted to do buddy reads, he had the really good idea to do them chronologically, so start early and work our way through history. And I think that that's something that I really recommend doing and that I've really enjoyed doing myself, is because I feel like you can kind of see Russian lit grow and evolve, and all of the Russian authors in history have affected one another. So Tolstoy was influenced by Pushkin. Pushkin was influenced by the writer of Woe from Wit, which, where did I put that? Oh, it's right here. So this is Woe from Wit. This is actually, if you flip your packets once again, everyone do it with me, okay? So TBR for the rest of 2021, number 1 is Woe from Wit. Woe from Wit is written by Alexander Gribodov. Gribodov? I'm totally pronouncing his last name wrong. Alexander Gribodov. That's my attempt. Okay. It's translated by Betsy Hulick, and it is a verse comedy in 4 acts. So this is a play that influenced and inspired Pushkin to write Yevgeny Onegin. So like I said, my point is that all Russian books and all Russian writers influenced one another if you go chronologically. And I feel like that's with any classic, that's with any writer. A lot of modern writers are influenced by all the writers that have come before. All artists and musicians and creatives and teachers and anyone is influenced, of course, by the people that have come before them. So I definitely suggest doing what I did, kind of going in chronological order. If that interests you, if you want to put that much thought into it, it really made me reevaluate Russian history and helped me better understand the chronology of events and how they all occurred and when they occurred. So that was definitely something that I liked doing. Let me talk about the TBR for the rest of 2021, and then I will discuss my overall thoughts and what I think about Russian lit just in general. So like I said, I am currently reading Anna Akhmatova. This is the Everyman's Pocket Poets collection. I am really enjoying this so far. I'm going quite slowly. I was reading this for a while and then stopped for a bit, and then continued on. Also, can you see who that is? That is Anna Akhmatova. I did an author portrait of her, which will be in my Etsy shop quite soon, but she is a lesser known writer, so I don't know how many people will be interested in getting her portrait. Hopefully all of you guys, because you will want to read her book. Her poetry is incredible, and I am planning on doing a video all about her poetry and all about her. I also obviously linked in the videos that I recommend you watching. It's a booktuber does discuss Anna Akhmatova in a really wonderful way. She was a badass, like she was an actual badass, and I had to do a portrait of her. So she is back here. I put her next to Anna Karenina and Tolstoy for a reason. But yes, so here she is in all of her glory. Really, really enjoying this. Have to get back into it. And also continue on with that video idea that I have. Then I'm going to be reading Woe from Wit, which I just discussed. This, like I said, is the play that inspired Pushkin's Yevgeny Onegin. Then after that, I'm going to be reading Poor Folk by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I can't wait to read this book. This is a book written in letters between 2 people, and it is also a love story. And when we think of Dostoevsky, I think we all think of a lot of very bleak, slightly depressing books, psychological, discussing the human condition. We don't really think of beautiful love stories. I mean, maybe we do, but well, if you know of Poor Folk and especially White Nights, I read White Nights and I loved it. Oh my god, it was so good. But Poor Folk is supposed to be even better and even more full of romance, full of love, and I am here for it. So yes, Also, Pushkin does play somewhat of a role in this book, and I can't wait to see that take shape. This is also, it also has some other stories in it as well, which I'll be interested to read. Then, after Poor Folk, we will be reading Resurrection for the Dickens versus Tolstoy debate and book club. I'm so excited to read this book. I have heard amazing things about it, and just so excited to get back into Tolstoy. So excited. And then in December, I will be reading Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. I am so excited to read this book. I cannot tell you how excited I am to read this book. And it's like nice and floppy. This is the Pavir and Volokhonsky translation. I do have a different copy of it right here, which this is from the Modern Library edition. This is from the original translation by Max Hayward and Manya Harari, which I believe is the original English translation. So these are the books that I will be reading for the rest of 2021. I might squeeze in a few other ones if I have the time, but these are the ones that will definitely be read, and I can't wait. So if you are interested in reading vlogs of these, definitely let me know. If you've read them, let me know what you think. Just to finish out this video, I do want to talk about Russian lit just as a whole, and why you should read it, and why it's amazing, and why it's my favorite subgenre of classics. So for a while, when I was really getting into classics, my favorite type of classics was Victorian classics, and that period in history I loved reading about. And I feel like when we think about classics, it's usually like the Regency period of Jane Austen, and then of course the Victorians with Charles Dickens and the Brontes and so many amazing writers. But when I discovered this love of Tolstoy and this love of Russian literature and Russian culture and Russian history, it has become my very favorite part of the classics genre, and I've loved learning about it. Like Russian literature, there's like so much beauty, like beautiful brutality. Like when I read a Russian book, it feels like a slap in the face, but also like a hug. It's like someone slapped you in the face and then hugged you and then slapped you in the face again. That's Russian literature in a nutshell. The endings to Russian classics have, I don't know, destroyed me, but in the best way, made me reevaluate like the written word and narrative as a whole, and like plot structure. And just reading Russian lit completely changes your mindset, and it makes you think about life in such a new way, makes you ask questions that maybe you wouldn't have asked yourself. And the writing is second to none, even in translation. I obviously cannot speak Russian. I wish that I could. It's incredible. And even thinking about a lot of translated books, like even in translation, the writing is just mind-blowing. And like, for instance, I have fallen in love with Yevgeny Onegin by Pushkin, and this is the translation by Stanley Mitchell. Stanley Mitchell didn't translate it word for word. He kind of created the essence of what Pushkin was saying and wrote it in a way where it's a bit more comprehensive. So it's not a direct translation, but it has the same essence of Pushkin, and I loved it. And I think this might be the most beautiful book I've ever read. So if you want the most beautiful, like if I can think of the most beautiful writing I've ever read, ever, it's this. It's this, hands down, like no questions asked. And it's just gorgeous, so please read it. Pushkin is also right here. I'm fawning over you, Pushkin, as usual. But yes, so please read Yevgeny Onegin. This has been my favorite part. Oh my god, have I shown this yet? I don't think I have. Are you ready for the best thing on my Russian classics bookshelf? I don't think you're ready. It's not in the slipcase, but here is the slipcase. I have it on my bookshelves out facing because I want to always be staring at the cover. Are you ready for it? I don't know if you're ready. Just prepare your eyes for insane amounts of beauty. What? It's the Folio Society edition of Yevgeny Onegin. my god. And it's fully illustrated by some of my favorite illustrators. They are the Balbuzzo twins, and all of their work is insane. Their names are Anna and Elena Balbuzzo, and look at that. Look at that. It's just incredible. So yeah, after falling in love with Evgeny Onegin, I needed the Folio Society edition, so I found it on eBay because they aren't in print anymore. And then I have the Folio Society edition of Anna Karenina as well. So Anna Karenina and Evgeny Onegin are my two favorite books of all time. They're both Russian, and now I have them both in the Folio Society edition, which is just like one of my favorite things that I own. Another favorite thing that I own, I think I will show you too. I got it yesterday. It was an early birthday present. Let me go get it. So speaking of Sam before, Sam is my very dear friend that has read a lot of my Russian books with me, pretty much almost all of them. And he got me this amazing book that I can't believe I own. And oh, and I'll show you what else he got me. But yeah, this one, I think it's my most special book that I own. I can't believe that I own it. Okay. It is a first edition Tolstoy. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I had to like keep in the tears when I was opening it. So this is Essays and Letters of Leo Tolstoy. Look at that spine. Are you kidding me? Anyway, just everyone take in the beauty. It has a scroll and some beautiful gold foiling. I am obsessed with this thing. This is like my favorite possession. It has an inscription on the inside, Harold E. Scott, Highgate Village, November 1958. But this is the translation by Louise and Elmer Maude, and it is from 1903. So if we go to the preface says, the articles in this volume of essays and letters all belong to one period of Tolstoy's career, the years 1888 to 1903. So this is a first edition Tolstoy. This came out when Tolstoy was still alive, when he was writing. These letters finished like the year that this was published, and this was before the Titanic, before the First World Wars, before so many like incredible moments in history that this book lived through. Like, it's insane. It's insane. So yes, thank you so much, Sam. I already thanked you, but thank you again. I can't believe that I own this, and it is just the most beautiful thing on the face of the earth. And it's also my favorite color. I love green. Green and blue are tied for first place. So yes, I think if I had to pick like what are my favorite Russian books that I own, like the ones that are most special to me, it would probably be this one and this one, because it's Evgeny Onegin, it's Pushkin, and it's Tolstoy. And this, like, to think that Tolstoy was alive when this was printed just makes me want to cry. This is just like absolutely gorgeous. Love the illustrations, love Evgeny Onegin. Yes, so amazing, amazing, amazing. Can't believe I own this. It is the pride and joy of my Russian lit set collection now. And then I'll show you what else Sam got me. He got... Look at this thing. Look at this thing. It's huge. So this is Quiet Flows the Don by Mikhail Sholokhov, and this is the winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature. This book is bigger than War and Peace. It is one of the longest Russian classics, and we are going to be reading it in 2022. I'm terrified. I am absolutely terrified. This is edited by Brian Murphy. This is the complete edition collection. So a lot of the editions of this book come in multiple volumes, but this edition comes just one whole volume. It is huge. It is heavy. It is my new doorstop. It is also a lethal weapon. If someone like robs me or breaks into my house, I just grab my Quiet Flows the Dawn and whack them in the head. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. But I'm nervous. Thank you so much, Sam. Can't believe I own this. And yeah, so I couldn't find a complete edition or all of the volumes here, and he found this. He already has this copy, but he found a second one and very, very kindly gave it to me. So yes, happy early birthday to me. Amazing. Can't believe it. So these are my two newest Russian lit acquisitions, and I love them very much. I can't wait to read them. I started reading a little bit. I'm just rambling now. I hope you don't mind. I started reading a little bit from the Essays and Letters collection, and I just love Tolstoy. Like, every time I read anything Tolstoy has written, I am talking about you, Tolstoy, I just like fall more and more in love with him, and I didn't realize I could love a man that passed away so many years ago so much, but I do. Okay, other thoughts on Russian lit. It's just amazing. Like, everyone just needs to read it, and everyone needs to love it, and more people need to talk about it, especially on YouTube. I don't know. There's just some like a feeling that I get when I read Russian lit that I don't get with any other book. And it's this mix between my heart is breaking, I'm crying, but I'm also laughing, but I'm also sobbing, but my life is also being made, but just like a mix of like a million different emotions. If you want to feel every emotion, if you want to cry, if you want to laugh, if you want to fall in love, if you want a hug, if you want a comforting book, if you want a slap in the face, the answer is Russian literature. That is the answer. I think I have rambled on enough. I hope that this was helpful in any way. This was also, just a check-in to let you guys know that I'm loving Russian lit, and I'm so glad that I started this series of videos as well as this part of my reading journey, because I can't imagine not having read, especially Yevgeny Onegin. Oh my god. And White Nights, and all of them. I love them all so much. But yes, anyway, if you have any questions about Russian lit, I would be so happy to answer them if I can. If you are more of a expert in Russian lit, which I'm sure you are, because I know so many of you are native Russians, and I love hearing what you have to say and all of your comments and everything. I hope that this was helpful if you are a beginner to Russian lit. If you aren't a beginner and you are an expert, leave some tips for all of us beginners down below, which will be highly appreciated. So yes, the comment section is all for you guys, all for us to discuss and to learn and to fawn over and swoon over Russian lit, because it is amazing. It is worth all of our love and admiration. Okay, anyway, enough of me babbling. I hope you're having a great day, sending my best wishes your way, and I will see you soon in another video. Thank you so much for attending this class. You all get high marks, A+, gold stars. Okay, happy reading.